In this video, we're going to walk through building an automation in Home Assistant. Nothing fancy, but by the end, you should understand the different parts of an automation and be able to use it to help you automate the boring stuff. Welcome back to SlackerLabs. My name is Jeff. In a lot of my videos, I try to show you new ways of doing things in Home Assistant, but I typically end up with questions about the basics. So in this video, we're going to cover writing basic automations in Home Assistant. This content is probably geared more to new Home Assistant users, but I hope the seasoned Home Assistant users out there stick around because I'll be sharing some of the things I've learned writing automations along the way. But if you are new to Home Assistant, you can write automations in one of two ways. You can use the built-in automation editor right in the UI, or you can manually write it yourself in YAML. Honestly, I bounce between the two methods depending on what I'm trying to accomplish with my automation and where I'm at while I'm writing that automation. But both methods get you to the same destination, so use whichever one you're comfortable with. For this video, we're going to be writing the same automation using both the automation editor and in YAML, so you can see the differences between the two methods. So let's start with the automation editor, because it'll be easier to explain the parts of the automation as we go. You will find the automation editor under Settings and then Automations and Scenes. Then click Create Automation in the lower right. You can start with a blueprint, but I always just create a blank automation. Automations have three main parts: triggers, which define when this automation will start, conditions, which define if this automation should start, and actions, which defines what this automation will do once it has started. Of these three, you really only need trigger and action. For triggers, the ones you'll likely use the most are state, numeric state, sun, time, and zone. State would be useful anytime you want to trigger an automation when an entity changes from one state to another state, like when a motion sensor goes from clear or off to detect or on. Numeric state is useful when you need to use something like temperature or some other numeric value, and you want to trigger based on a threshold. Maybe turn on your heater when the temp drops below a certain point. Sun works well for triggering around sunrise and sunset. Time is good for specific points during the day, useful for alarms or other time-sensitive automations. And zone, which would be used a lot in presence-based automations, and can trigger an automation when people arrive or leave a zone. For this example, I'm going to build an automation that sends a simple notification when the front door opens. So for this one, the trigger we're going to use is state. And then we're going to select the sensor for my front door. In the blank for entity ID, we can type door, which should show us every entity with door in the name. But front door will refine the list more. Once we've selected our entity, now we can choose our state change that we want to monitor for. And for this, we want to know when the state goes from off to on. If possible, always include a from state. For this to work, you don't need a from state. But if you leave it off, then anytime your entity changes from any state, your automation will fire. That includes when an entity goes from unavailable or unknown to off. So if possible, try to be specific with your state change. If Home Assistant knows the states of this sensor, it will provide them in the dropdown. And this is based on the entity's device class. So for contact sensors like this, you'll see closed and open. In this case, then we can set the from to closed and the to open. But Home Assistant would understand if you set these to off and on as well. After you defined your state change that you want to monitor for this automation, it's time we move to the conditions. Like I said, conditions help define if an automation should fire, and anything you put in this section needs to be true before the automation will continue. For these, state and numeric state will get used the most. Since we're sending a notification, I want to make sure it only happens when people are awake. I usually have a helper that keeps track of that, but to keep it simple for this example, I'm going to use the sun as a proxy for that context. So for condition, we'll use state. For entity, we'll pick sun.sun, and for state, we'll use above_horizon. Again, this means this automation will only fire if this condition is true. So specifically in this case, only when the sun is above the horizon. Condition though is completely optional, but once we have the conditions, we can move to actions. For action, we'll pick Call Service. For this demo, I'm going to use the Home Assistant mobile app, which provides an easy way to send notifications. And like the previous inputs before, as you type, it will search your entities. But unfortunately, there's nothing in this UI editor that tells you what service you need if you want to send a notification. So you at least need to have an idea to get you started. Since I am sending a notification though, I will look for a notify service. But that returns a lot, and I know the mobile app creates one for each device with mobile_app in the name. And once you select a service, you'll be prompted with the other attributes you can use. Anything without a checkbox is required. The rest are optional. For message, I'll put front door was opened, and if we want, we could give it a title of door notifications. Now we can hit save and it will prompt us to name this. I tend to prefer generic names these days because Home Assistant has gotten a lot better at allowing more complex automations, and in the future I'll probably come back here and add more doors. So once we save this, anytime the front door is opened, we'll get a notification that looks like this. But what if you want to skip the UI and do all of this with YAML? First off, YAML isn't anything special. It's not a programming language, it's simply a way to format text in a way that's both readable by humans and by computers. But in order to accomplish that, it has strict rules around formatting that text, because computers don't do well understanding ambiguity. And if you're new to writing YAML, that formatting can be a bit challenging to understand, which is why I like to use a text editor like Visual Studio Code, which can show you your syntax issues as you go. And the easiest way to get going with Visual Studio Code is to use the Visual Studio Code Server add-on for Home Assistant, which allows you to edit your YAML files right in the browser. You could also install the Samba Share add-on and then access your files over the network and use whatever text editor you want. I'm not going to walk you through installing those add-ons in this video, but I will leave links to previous videos I've done showing you how to do that in the description of this video. But I will be using the Visual Studio Code Server add-on to show you how to write an automation using YAML. If you're new to the Visual Studio Code add-on, you'll find it in the left rail. After that, you can simply choose the file you want to edit. For those just starting out writing automations, I would stick with the automation.yaml file as the home for your automations. It's already set up and ready to go out of the box. Since we went through the details about the parts of the automation in the previous section, this will be more focused on the formatting required to do all of this with YAML. Since we might have multiple automations in a single file, like this one, we denote the start of a new one with a dash. The order of the elements don't really matter, but I usually write them like this. I start with a dash space ID colon. This ID needs to be unique across your instance, and it shouldn't contain spaces. So it could be a string like door_notification, but I typically use a GUID, and with the help of an extension inside of Visual Studio Code, it's super easy to generate a random one that's going to be unique. The extension I'm using here is called TextPower Tools, which allows me to hit a command key. In this case on the Mac, it's Command-Shift-P, type GUID, and then easily insert a random GUID. The next line under that, you'll want to indent 2 spaces so that the text aligns with the text above. Here is where I put alias colon, and this is where you put the name of the automation that will show up in your entity list. In this case, door notifications. Spaces are okay here. Home Assistant will convert them to underscores. Capitals are not a good idea, so just keep it all lowercase. Then under that, on the next line, we'll indent 2 spaces and type mode single. We'll get in deeper on what modes can help you do in a video on complex automations. For this, single will work because it means if this automation is running, it can't be triggered again until it has completed. On the next line, we indent 2 spaces, and this is where we're going to type trigger colon. And this starts the trigger section. Under this heading, we'll add all of the triggers we want for this automation. Since automations can have multiple triggers, we use the dash to signify the start of a new trigger. So, on the next line, 2 spaces, dash, space, and then platform, colon. Since we're using the dash to tell Home Assistant we have a new trigger in the trigger section, the order of the following attributes doesn't matter either, but I like to keep things tidy, so I always start with platform. You can see after we type the colon and then add a space, Visual Studio Code gives us some hints as we type, which can help you if you're unsure what your options are for this section. But here, we're going to choose state. On the next line, we need to add 2 spaces to indent so that the attributes for this trigger all line up. This is where we define the entity to watch. And as you can see, Visual Studio Code is giving us hints, and here we can simply choose entity_ID. The editor will stub in the entity ID and drop us on a line after the dash. And here we just type the name of our entity. Chances are you're not going to know this. If you do, you could just start typing binary_sensor and get a list of all the sensors and then pick the one you want. Since we have a dash, we could add more lines under here with more sensors, and it will trigger if any of them have the defined state change. But we're going to keep this simple and just leave it with this one. After we've added the entity that we want to watch, we need to define that state change we want to trigger on. So after this, we add a line from, : and in quotes, off. And on the next line, to, : quotes, on. Be sure to wrap the text for both of these either in single or double quotes. If you don't, chances are your automation isn't going to work. Now that we have our trigger, we can create the condition section. Just be sure you back up and line up the condition : with the trigger : line above. Then on the next line, we indent 2 spaces. And if you know everything that you need for a condition, you could just start filling that in now. Or you could leverage the magic with Visual Studio Code. If you start typing the word condition, you'll be presented with a list of patterns for conditions. And we can simply choose condition-state, and the editor will stub out the condition section. And just like triggers, we can have multiple conditions, so we get a dash for each condition. The editor adds an alias line for each condition. This alias line isn't really needed, so if you were doing all of this manually, you really wouldn't need this. The line after that is the platform line, and it's already been set to state. After that, we need to set our entity to watch, so for that, we're going to use sun.sun. And for the state that our entity needs to be in for this condition to be true, above_horizon. After that, we can add our action section, making sure to align the action : line with the trigger and the condition lines above. And I'm sure you've already picked this up, but each individual action will need a dash to show it's a new action. So here we'll do dash space service : which is the same as the call service option we picked in the editor. And then we need to provide the name of the service we want to call. So in this case, the notify service for my mobile app. As we start typing, it will give us hints. And when we find the one we want, we can just pick it. And now is where things get even less intuitive. If you're doing it this way, you'll need to know what options your service call needs. If you don't know, and you don't want to build this in the UI, you could always flip over to the Developers menu and pick Services. Here, you can pick a service, and it will tell you what attributes that service has. And even better, you could build out your service call and then click this to show the YAML. So you could just copy and paste this into your automation. Now we just need to save this, and to make it active, we either need to restart Home Assistant or head to Developer Tools, YAML, and click on Automations to reload any modified automations. And that's it. Hopefully this video gave you enough to start writing automations, either using the automation editor right in the Home Assistant UI, or writing them manually using YAML. Of course, this is just the tip of the automation iceberg. I plan on doing a future video breaking down writing complex automations. But in the meantime, check out this video on how to use the choose action to add decision logic inside your automation based on what triggered that automation. And with that, now it's time to go automate the boring stuff.